Well, it's afternoon now, it's noon, but we're filling the planter. Skid steer lifts the pro boxes up high enough. It's sketchy, but it does it. But it was supposed to be raining this afternoon, and they've backed the chances off from like, I don't know, an inch of rain to like 2/10 now. So I don't think it's gonna rain at all. And they keep backing it off and backing it off and backing it off. So I don't think we're gonna get any of the rain that we were supposed to get today. So we are going to try and stick the planter in the ground. I don't know that I'm going to plant a lot. I just put 2 pro boxes in. We're gonna just play it by ear, dial the planter in, make sure it's planting right, and sleep a lot better at night knowing it works, because I haven't put a single seed in the ground with it yet. I'm not gonna get crazy. It's still plenty tacky. It's still plenty wet. I do have some ground that I think will go. It's not gonna be, it's a little on the heavy side, but I think it'll go. It's been worked and it's mellowed out. It's dry on top, got a crust over the top. It's got moisture underneath. So we're not gonna have to plant them super deep at all. It's loaded. I got some calibrations to do here at the farm. And then from there, we're gonna try and plant some beans today. It's supposed to keep raining. So while we've got a little shot, I don't care how late I have to work tonight. I'll plant as many as I've got ground fit for. But if it starts getting just ugly, we're gonna stop. But it's April 16th. This time last year, I had almost every bean in the ground. So I would have liked to have some early beans this year, but the weather did not allow that. So anyhow, these are seed beans. They're a 4.4 maturity, so they need planted. 4.4 is pushing it for this area, but I don't know. We'll see. But anyhow, without further ado, let's get with it. Okay, well, we got the planter in the field. It does in fact plant beans. I've got to adjust my depth, and one of my seed meters, this door, is broken. So got to run to the dealership and get a couple of those, have a couple spares, but it does plant. It seemed to be holding rate. It seemed to be doing what it was supposed to do. I do need to adjust the depth, do a couple calibrations, but I think there's a chance we may plant some beans this afternoon. These fields here at home, with the cover crop on them, are way too wet. There's no way I'm going to plant those, but I do have some ground that's been worked, and I think there's a pretty good possibility that we could get on that and go plant it. So we'll see. We will see. All right, here's what we're dealing with. The ground is relatively dry on top. It's got lots of moisture underneath, so we're not going to plant them super deep, but it's crusted over. It should plant pretty nicely. Granted, we are on top of a hill right now, so we'll see. It may get a little iffy up in there. There's a couple springs in this field, but so we're gonna unfold here. And it's pretty self-explanatory to fold and unfold this planter. You basically just go through the steps here. I mean, it's not super terrible. And yeah, you essentially just do what it says. Lower your 3-point here, which drops that down so you can unfold it. We're in neutral, so it'll either pull the tractor back or pull the planter back, forward, backwards, whatever it needs to do. But that unfolds it. Then we'll kick our vacs on and try planting some beans. I'm not going to initially start right here by the highway or right by the interstate. I'm gonna start where you can't see it. So if it's screwed up, or not screwing up, right by the road, but set for 135,000 seeds per acre on 30-inch rows. I could probably back that off some, but that's what I'm gonna go for. I have a co-op that was supposed to get me variable rate maps, but I haven't got them yet, so we're just gonna send it. I don't have them. I don't have them loaded into the tractor, so we're just gonna plant. Well, I've decided we're just gonna plant this one field, but I think everything's working for the most part. I'm only going to plant this one field though because it's plenty wet out. It really needs to dry up some before I get carried away. I've got a row cleaner that's all jacked up. It needs to come off. The frame on it is actually bent. But if I can get that lined out and a couple other things, I think we'll be in business. But I do have one row cleaner that is absolutely plowing into the ground, and it's starting to kind of piss me off, but I don't have the stuff with me to take it off, so we're just gonna run it. But anyhow, planter's planting, clutches are clutching, singulation's singulating, and we'll go from there. All right, well, I did a little bit of spraying today. I sprayed about 100 acres, and it's just getting windy. But I did find some dry ground while I was out spraying, so here we are. We're gonna try and plant. But I took my one row cleaner off, so we got a little chipped tooth right now looking back at the planter. But it was more or less completely junk. So I got another one ordered, but I don't have it yet, so let's plant some beans. Well, everything's doing what it should. We are planting. It's actually a lot drier than I figured it would be. Well, that didn't take long at all. It's amazing what you can get done when you're 60 foot wide. That went really quick, like really, really quick. But we're ready to fold up. So that's that. I'm kind of mesmerized how quickly you can cover ground with this thing. Never had a planter this big, but just knocked out this little patch here, and on the other side of this terrace there's maybe 10 acres here, but it took like not even 20 minutes, it feels like, to knock that out. So we're gonna jump up there over the hill, and got about 30-40 acres over there or so. There's a lot more that I farm here, but it's all got that rye on it, and I sprayed all that rye to kill it today, but it's still plenty wet there. But if this stuff didn't have rye on it, we'd be planting it, because it's dry anywhere there's not a cover crop. That cover crop's just making it stay wet. So pros and cons to cover crops, I guess. I mean, I feel like it's costing me yield at this point, because this ground you want to get planted pretty well as soon as possible, and the fact that it's got cover crop on it, keeping it from being able to be planted right now, is definitely costing some yield, I feel like. So that's one downside to cover crops, and no-till in general, is it takes a little longer to for a field to be fit to plant. But this ground was worked just with a VT tool last fall. It had sorghum on it, and just got lightly worked, I don't know, 1.5 inches deep or so, and it's dry. It's dry as a bone, but the stuff with the rye on it, still plenty wet. So oh well, it is what it is. Just gonna get out again and check the job that I'm doing, check my depth and whatnot. I think I need to run a little more down pressure, but I'm planting them plenty shallow too, I think. But we're getting all the beans covered. There's one there, but this is planting perfectly. There's moisture in this, but it's just crumbly dirt, so I'm really happy with it. I don't know, we may be planting deeper than I thought. I should be finding another bean here. But yeah, yeah, there's another one. So they're looking good, all in all. I feel like I need to check my population a little bit, but I really won't know how it's doing exactly until we start to see some come up. But I'm finding them pretty well spaced. It's hard when you're digging, but pretty well spaced where they need to be for the population I'm shooting for. So we'll see. they'll be up before we know it. Just getting out to check things, stretch my legs, and take a leak, but this is a pretty sweet setup. It's planting perfect too. It's crusted on top, moisture underneath. You couldn't ask for much better. Well, we're sitting in the easy chair, auto steer engaged, a little over 5 mile an hour, 60 foot wide. We're getting her done. We're getting her done. I enjoy it. Well, I tried to plant into some of this rye while I was here. I planted maybe 3 or 4 acres, and it was way too wet. It was just smearing the seed trench, so I quit. It wasn't covering half the beans, and we've got a massive rainstorm getting ready to hit us, so they're talking high winds and tornadoes and all that, so it's gonna be here in about an hour, and I got a half-hour drive home, so I figure we're just gonna cut our losses and go home instead of doing a shitty job. So it's gonna be a late spring, I think. I think it's gonna be a good year to have a 24-row planter, but yeah, it's gonna be a late spring, I believe. Well, I just came down here to check on the cows, and well, we got one more today. Old mama there just dropped a calf. This one here is getting ready to. She's nice and wide, and I've noticed her bags are starting to drop. So this calf was born this morning, I believe. She's got them all cleaned up, and she's pretty protective of them right now. Little bull there. So I'm excited to see that. Really excited to see that. My first calf. 2 more of these are pregnant. The rest of them are really too young to be having calves yet, but she's happy. She's protective, but she's happy. There we are. Friendly as can be. She's definitely keeping an eye on them, but there we go. Soft as can be.